on, as I researched, IHC was working with restoration and preventive conservation, but these days you're also coming up with various innovative storage solutions. So what do you think has triggered the shift, or like, was there any moment when you felt that this needs to be changed, or like, what has led to this innovation?
Uh, well, because when I was going to different places for restoration, and people have bigger collections, and there is art everywhere, heritage everywhere in India, and geographically, since India is so big, it is very difficult to restore each and every work of art or heritage. So I decided that I'm going to work on a bigger shift, and do preservation first, and then look into the restoration of individual objects. So in order to protect the bigger collections or bigger heritage, I decided that I'm going to do preventive conservation, and storage is integral part of preventive conservation. Since if we don't have a good storage, and whatever we keep restoring, if we don't keep it back in a better or good conditions, it's again going to deteriorate. So the idea was to build art storages. So we customize art storages of various kinds, and till now we've done about 11, and we design archives and museums. We also do a lot of display storages, so people don't have to physically intervene with any artwork if they don't have to handle it. So the idea of storage is integral part of restoration.
India is immensely rich in terms of ancient art, sculptures, paintings, and heritage. Today we have with us Priya Kapoor, a passionate art restorer who has made conserving and storage of this art a prime purpose of her life. From achieving a gold medal from Govt College of Art, Chandigarh, to working on a number of notable projects in the fields of museum collections, oil paintings, papercraft, textiles, and much more. With her organization, International Heritage Conservation, she's been unstoppable. Her drive to make the story behind art sustain for generations is truly inspirational. So let us move on to our conversation to experience unparalleled energy, motivation, and her wonderful insights. Priya ma'am, to our ArtTown podcast series. It is our immense pleasure to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure, Samiksha. Yeah, and everything is fine.
Yes, ma'am. So we know you as an art restorer and a director of International Heritage Conservation. But for our audience, I would like you to talk a bit about the background of what art restoration is and what is International Heritage Conservation aiming to do.
Okay, so I am an artist by birth and by nature. And then I pursued art restoration after doing my art course from Arts College, Chandigarh. And then I realized a great need of saving our heritage. So here comes the International Heritage Conservation, and we do preservation of art, restoration of heritage sites. And other than that, we do a lot of other things like authentication, workshops, trainings. We build storages, we make collection care plans, we do preventive management on art and heritage and art collections. So this organization was born in 2007. After my son was born, and he was just 13 days old. And I realized that because I couldn't work and because of my passion, I realized that I need to get up and get back to work. And because our area is very niche, we have very few restorers, so it's badly required. So I started working from home, and then International Heritage Conservation became bigger and bigger. And here we are after so many years.
It's wonderful, ma'am. You're doing phenomenal work, and I congratulate you for that. In saying that, I also feel that it is a very rare thing to take up this as a profession. So I would like to know, when did you develop your interest for art and decide to build this as a career?
Oh, well, as I said, I was a born artist and I used to scribble the walls. And my parents realized that this child is going to be a meanings in future. So they had put me in arts college. Uh, so I studied at Chandigarh Arts College, which is also known as Govt College of Arts, Chandigarh. And then once I was passed out and I started looking at other areas of art related fields, and I found restoration very fascinating. India is so rich in heritage, and we all know that if we don't preserve, we are not going to. And what are we going to give our children, to our next generation? What will they see? So there is a dire need of preservation, and which had pushed me to pursue art restoration. So I'm passed out from National Museum. There is an institution there. It's called National Museum Institution, which is attached with the museum. And I was trained there, and then I was trained at Paris, Victoria and Albert, Tate, and then worked at various places here.
Beautiful. I absolutely agree that the effort that is made into making that art more or equal or more effort should be taken to preserve it. And I absolutely love your motive that you want to let the story stay along for generations to come. Also, like all other successful people, I'm sure you have had your share of challenges. So, what is it that kept you going for so long?
Well, restoration is not easy. It's quite a backbreaking job. It's an amalgamation of science, art, history. It's like doctor. So we look into what is the process of doing art, and then what is the problem which has developed over the years. So it took me about 10 years to understand, get myself trained. It wasn't so easy. So the journey of becoming a restorer is long enough for somebody to stay in a field. And then years of practice and learning.
So earlier on, as I researched, IHC was working with restoration and preventive conservation, but these days you're also coming up with various innovative storage solutions. So what do you think has triggered the shift, or like was there any moment when you felt that this needs to be changed, or like what has led to this innovation?
Uh, well, because when I was going to different places for restoration, and people have bigger collections, and there is art everywhere, heritage everywhere in India, and geographically, since India is so big, it is very difficult to restore each and every work of art or heritage. So I decided that I'm going to work on a bigger shift, and do preservation first, and then look into the restoration of individual objects. So in order to protect the bigger collections or bigger heritage, I decided that I'm going to do preventive conservation, and storage is integral part of preventive conservation. Since if we don't have a good storage, and whatever we keep restoring, if we don't keep it back in a better or good conditions, it's again going to deteriorate. So the idea was to build art storages. So we customize art storages of various kinds, and till now we've done about 11, and we design archives and museums. We also do a lot of display storages, so people don't have to physically intervene with any artwork if they don't have to handle it. So the idea of storage is integral part of restoration.
Oh, wow. Is there any particular project that you've worked on and you're proud of it? Like, this is what you wanted to do and you achieved it, sort of?
It's a long journey. So as I said, yes, I worked on very prominent projects which were very important. So one of the prominent project was initial years of my career, when we restored the ceiling of Ashoka Hall. There are Kaja paintings on the ceiling of Ashoka Hall, where President of India takes oath ceremony. So that is very important, which took us about 3 years to restore, about 11 panels,
Oh, wow.
which was in not my individual project, which was in association with National Museum. But yes, after that, I worked on very, very important projects. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about a very, very fascinating thing which is coming up with us, which is a volunteer project for us. So we'll talk about it at the end. But yes, I establishments like Pondicherry Museum, Film Heritage Foundation, then a lot of big corporate houses, Al Sabah Collection, Govt. Of course, very important works we've restored, old masters.
Many important, wonderful works that you've done, ma'am. And after listening to you, I also want to ask you that what is the difference in practice that you see when you started off 10 years or 12 years ago and today? Like, what is the difference
Well,
between the
very
practice that
happy
you've done?
to see that people are very, very aware about what they have and how to keep them and preserve them. So initially when I started about 12, 13 years ago, people were not aware, and we used to always teach them and educate them on what to do. But now they are so self-educated that they come to us and they know so much, and they already do so much of research that it is much easier for us to interpret our pain.
Wow. Ma'am, as you're talking, I sense this energy and a deeper purpose in what you're doing. So your drive is really inspirational. And is it that you want to contribute to a society in a way? Like, is it a purpose behind what you're doing?
Of course, yes. As I said, we are saving our heritage for generations to come, because
Yes.
next generations know. So this is an art of preservation for next generations to come.
Beautiful, ma'am. And while you are at this point in your trajectory, like, do you notice any changes in your personality? Like, art restoration has helped you at a personal level?
Well, art restoration is a perfectionist job. And of course, it has influenced my life in a big way, that it has made me more disciplined and more focused on everything. Because even if you miss a dot on any artwork, or, if it is wrongly done, definitely the entire effect changes. And that also reflects on our lives, that if we do something, non-disciplined or haywire, the effect comes on our lives. So it's quite similar to, you have to be perfect to do it.
Yes, ma'am. I absolutely agree to what you say. So we as a younger generation are a little bit moving towards digital art and technology. So, like, how would you motivate our generation to take up this as a career or profession?
Well, this is a very passionate field, and you have to be really driven to become a restorer. In fact, if you see a world map, uh, it comes under a category of underpaid and a passionate field. So, and as the generations are shifting to digital art, I think that's a very usual transformation, because materials change and technology change, and one has to go with it. So I don't think that digital ways of doing art or anything has any issues. Just that as the materials change, and so people have to be aware that what would be the duration rate of these things, and if they are going to live.
Okay, ma'am. That is really nice. And my next question to you would be that if you had to, like, give advice to an artist that you were 12 years ago, and what would that piece of advice be? Like, how would you have improved at that time so that it would have helped you today, or anyways, like?
I do interact with a lot of artists because when I restore, that's always required that I go back to them if they are living. If they're not even living, I look into the materials and techniques they have adopted in past. And my advice to all the artists would be that they have to be very careful with the materials they use. The deterioration, the kind of so a lot of artists does mixed media, which is very unstable media of work, because the acrylics would react differently and oil paint would react differently. So my advice to them is to stay focused and give little more attention to the kind of materials they are using, because then only their art will stay for longer times.
Absolutely, ma'am. That is very insightful. And also, like the awareness in India, I feel is a little less as compared to the countries abroad. So, what do you think that at this stage, like how should the awareness be spread in India to make this practice more efficient and more more practiced, basically?
Well, platform like yours is doing a great job by making people aware about what's going on and what is restoration, and how people should be very careful about keeping their art. So
Yes,
I think that you guys are doing a great job.
we're trying our best, ma'am. And also from speakers like you, we are like trying to seek inspiration constantly. So, ma'am, as this is as this is a male-dominating country, being a female entrepreneur, were there any limitations faced by you? Like recently, we celebrated Women's Day, so
But I think India is quite privileged. So far as my journey is concerned, I never faced any issues being a woman. And because we restore beautiful paintings and beautiful art, so I don't think people are biased about women or men. It's not. I don't feel that at all. I never felt it that there's any issue being a woman entrepreneur.
okay, that's pretty great, and I think India is evolving and improving. So we pray that women get equally treated in all the industries. Also, you mentioned about something that you would like to talk at the end of the podcast. So, would you elaborate on that, like the
Okay.
project that you were saying?
This is a very interesting project. So I was being called to one of the gurudwaras here in NCR one day, and they said, "We have something very important, and we don't have much funding. So can you please come and help in?" And I went there, and I realized that they have very, very important Sikh manuscripts, which were more than 300 years old. So I started restoring, and then I started talking to people, and um, and then all my students kind of came in and helped me, and they also started spreading the awareness. So I got a call from a gurudwara in UK, and they said, yes, we do such restorations. So the trickiest part was that nobody in India is trained on old Sikh book bindings. So I was invited there to learn and then to educate. And the trust, which is called Pothi Seva UK, they came in and they said, we are going to fund you for the course. Please learn and go back to India and spread the awareness, train other people. So I'm pretty excited about this because, so I was to go last summer, and as lights open, I will go and then come back, and we are going to train a lot of conservators on this. So this is one of the very exciting projects I'm looking at. And not a lot of people are aware about of Sikh manuscripts and their importance.
Oh, wow. This is a wonderful project, actually. We are excited to look forward to the outcome. And we wish that you get more such projects and your influence reaches a lot of people. Uh, we are towards the end of the session, and I would like to ask you the rapid tips, like just rapid answers. So, three tips about your favorite art form.
Mm, sculpture, three-dimensional. Yeah.
And,
You,
okay.
artist? Do you mean by
Yes,
artist?
I.
Okay, so lot of artists. In fact, I love old Bengal Nandlas, and you
Oh,
can
wow.
see some of them are also hanging there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So, the next is three tips to be a better artist.
better art. Just follow your passion and focus and concentrate and pay little attention to the materials you use. That's it.
Sure, ma'am. And the one last question, three things that you learn through art in your life.
Oh, to be passionate, um, beautiful, and driven. Yeah, because art is not an easy thing. It's a meditation. So one has to be very focused, and a lot of emotional inclinations are there to form art.
Ma'am, I'm just adding a last question. After you've worked so much and you've achieved this much in life, is there a wish or a goal that you still have to achieve? Like
That's a difficult question.
anything in your to-do list or bucket list that you wish to do?
Well, yes, maybe I would like to go around the world and spread awareness about Indian art and Indian heritage, because one thing which differs between us and internationally is that we use lot of traditional methods in restoration, and a lot of foreign countries, European countries, don't initially used to believe in it, but now they are coming back. It's like, Ayurveda or yoga. So
Yeah.
I would say that I would like to make people aware about our traditional things. Like, if you recall, our mother or grandmothers used to keep cloves or black peppers or things, those traditional things, camphor in their clothes for preservation. So I think these are very useful internationally. So I would definitely like to make, or maybe write about it so people get more aware.
That's wonderful, ma'am. We will be looking forward to that. Also, it was very beautiful talking to you. We could keep going. And it was like very beneficial and motivational for me personally. And I think our listeners will be also largely benefited through this.
Thank
It was wonderful talking to you,
Thank
ma'am. And
you for getting me on the panel to talk to audience. And I'm really grateful to you to get me here.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Congratulations to all of you who made it till the end. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I really hope you liked it. If you did, please leave us a review on our YouTube comment section. And if you come up with any questions while listening to this podcast, you can add a comment on Instagram or YouTube, and we will get back to you and help you as much as possible. You can find us on Instagram or our website by the name arttown.store. So do connect with us. We're truly excited to converse with you.